We have learned about basic API functionality. Now I'm going to talk about our base agenda, which was to discuss the Azure APIs. So Azure basically provides a comprehensive set of REST APIs that allow developer to interact with various Azure services. These APIs enable you to manage and automate tasks such as deploying resources, managing virtual machines, managing virtual networks, configuring networks, accessing storage, and much more. Here are some key points about Azure REST APIs, and the first one definitely is going to be the authentication. For a security reason, you always want to protect your data. Hence, you will be using some sort of a security mechanism with your API calling. And in case of Azure, it is going to be the OAuth 2. So let's discuss what it is and how it works. So Azure REST APIs typically use Azure Active Directory, Azure AD for authentication. You need to obtain an access token using OAuth 2.0 authentication flow before making requests to Azure APIs. Your request to ARM API is going to use Azure Active Directory authentication. So this is how it is going to look like. You're going to initiate authentication and that goes to AD. Then you are going to request authentication. There will be some response whether authentication is granted or not. Once it is successful, you are going to obtain those access token, and those access token basically going to work with your API calling, and then you are going to get the response for that particular API. You will also have to specify the API version in the URL when making requests to ARM APIs to ensure compatibility. Azure frequently updates its API, so using the appropriate version ensures that your code works with the latest feature and improvements. Here you can see this is a screenshot, and this is how you are going to see the different version of the APIs. So when you are calling a particular API, you need to choose the appropriate one. The primary SDK for interacting with Azure services in Python is Azure SDK for Python, which is developed and maintained by Microsoft. And you can just simply install it with this command. You can also use the regular Python library, the request, to interact with the APIs as well. And the final bit is going to be the documentation. As I mentioned, Azure maintains a different version of the API which you can access from here. If you take a look, there are two, and if you go for, let's go for compute, and then list cloud services. This is for the classic. So let's go for get, and here you can see the different versions are available for those APIs. In the demo section, we will be talking about the virtual network. So let's go into the networking section, network manager. Let me see if it is coming from virtual network or something. Virtual network, here it is. And when you go to the resource manager, and suppose we want to work on virtual networks, and if you want to get a list of the virtual networks, then these are going to be your APIs, and you need to choose your version appropriately. In the next section, we will go through the demo. And here also, before we end, you can see this is supported by the OAuth.
Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.